Hi everyone, it is Rachel Neff here. I'm just going to be giving you and telling you about my SMART goal that I created for core opportunities and a non-consumption opportunity today. Just going to be walking you through some of my thought process while I was going through this, as well as what my final thoughts were and what my final goal is. So when I started thinking about this, what I wanted to do was I wanted to find out really what the reasoning for my goal was. So the first thing that I came up with was I looked at the three pieces of information or the three places that you could have your goal. And the one that I related closest with was to boost student achievement and quality of life through personalization. Now, I chose this one because um, the money aspect of that wasn't really for me. There's nothing I can really do for that. And then wanting to have better student achievement and quality of life, I took that to mean that the quality of life would be not only students being happier and more engaged in their learning, but also just happier with their overall achievement and overall sense of how they're doing with the goal. So that is what I really based all of my um, goal creation and looking at problems on. So for my core goals, I came up with three problems and how I would relate them to some goals. And those are right here. The first one I have is that a lot of fourth graders arrive with gaps and missing pieces of instruction. In my classroom, students have come from other schools. I have had one new student this year. There are students that have not understood concepts in the past, and then there are also students who just don't have enough time to practice or might need more practice than is given to them in school. I thought that these students would benefit from receiving lessons that are missing from their arsenal, especially in the areas of reading and math. This goal would relate to closing and eliminating gaps and any missing pieces in student achievement. Then the second goal I came up with was that, well, I have students that also come to me that have a good sense of understanding related to those concepts, and they are able to pick up those concepts quickly. So I wanted to kind of reach out to those students that are higher learners and do sometimes get bored with what is being done here in school. So I wanted to reach out to those guys as well. And then the last goal that I came up with is there are times when I feel as though I am teaching the concept lessons, and because of the pressures that are put on us to meet meet deadlines, such as things for PSSAs, deadlines put on us by our administration, and just assessment deadlines, things like that. I wanted to make sure that I was giving students enough time to practice, and this goal would relate to not moving on until a student understood the concept and had a more complete understanding. Some of my non-consumption opportunities, I had a little bit more trouble kind of thinking of some goals here, but once I got rolling, I found that I really had a good handle on these, and I actually found these to be my favorite goals that I came up with. So my first one is that we, in math, have PSSAs before it is time, or before we have time to teach all of the content that is expected of us to teach in fourth grade. So, for example, math, we have 6 units or 5 units. Reading is one or the other. So with math, we have concepts that we don't get to, and we wouldn't get to until early to mid-May, and we do not have a chance to teach them before the PSSAs because there simply is not enough time. And if we give students the ample amount of time to practice, there's no way that we can teach everything before PSSAs. Personally, my school, I think, is very lucky. Our principal is very understanding. He wants things taught well, and he wants to make sure that students are doing a good job with what they are given and what they are learning. But I would like those students to be able to learn the things that they will see on the PSSA so they are feeling more prepared for those tests instead of going in feeling underprepared. I also would like them to be prepared for the concepts that they'll be seeing in 5th grade, which is always just one step more building upon the concepts they learn in 4th grade. So that would be teaching curriculum that they don't get to. So I was kind of confused as whether this would be a consumption or non-consumption, or sorry, a core opportunity or non-consumption because it is math, but they wouldn't get to it otherwise. So I put this under non-consumption for that reason. Secondly, sorry, students don't really have a choice in their learning, which I know they have a little bit more choice, and some of you responded to that on my Flipgrid, but there are still a lot of classes that they must take. So I would like to implement a Genius Hour in which students can choose something to learn about, and this goal would be simply giving students a choice. And then lastly, students really don't have an opportunity to learn about careers or post-school goals or things that might interest them for moving forward with their schooling. So what I would like to do is give them an opportunity for this. And those were my 3 problems and goals for non-consumption. Now, coming down to creating the SMART goal, what I did was I chose my core opportunity and my non-consumption opportunity. And what I came up with for my core was filling in the gaps and missing pieces of instruction, because I do feel that even though some students are at a higher learning level, they are still arriving to me with some gaps and missing pieces, and this could greatly affect them later on with school. So I chose that for my core opportunity. And my non-consumption opportunity would be to teach those math units that we are not able to get to before PSSAs are given in our school. And this goal would be somehow integrating those lessons for the students to learn, so they have exposure to those and have time to grasp the concept without feeling rushed or feeling like we're just cramming it in. So I'm going to start with my core opportunity first. So I'm going to be sticking to this middle column here. And what I would like to do is my specific aspect of my core goal would be to address gaps in learning and find the missing pieces. This would be measurable because students will show growth, independent growth, by increasing their scores on diagnostic online tests. As I stated in my Flipgrid, we have something called iReady, which is from Curriculum Associates. And what that does is that gives us a look at each student individually. How are they doing? What are they missing? Where do they need help growing? So I have something already in my arsenal that I can use for this. Then looking at if this is, who would be responsible for this, it would be myself primarily, but also a little bit on the students as well, because while I would be kind of the leader, I think that the students do need to have a little bit of responsibility for this. For myself in my classroom, yes, I believe that this would be a realistic goal. I would use a station rotational model because there are 13 laptops in the classroom, and I have 19 students. Now today, of those 13 laptops, they were not plugged in over the weekend, which is one of my student jobs. So I only had about 4 working laptops today. So again, that would go back to who is responsible. The students are helping in making this goal happen. Because while that is something that I typically do check at the end of the day, depending on what's happening, I'm not always able to check. So having them have some responsibility in that aspect would be great. Now I need to go through, check the laptops and make sure they're all working, but this would be a realistic goal for me to achieve. This would be in relation to when these results would be achieved. It would be ongoing, and I would continue to monitor throughout the year. And I think the end goal would be May 2019. I could say June of 2019, the end of the school year, but realistically, we are done with instruction around the end of May. So I'm just going to read the goal that I created. I said my goal is to use the station rotational model, teacher-led, collaborative, and independent, of blended learning to increase student scores with at least 1 year of growth on the iReady diagnostic math and reading assessments by May 2019. A year's growth in math is 19 points, and a year's growth in reading is 21 points. I, Rachel Neff, will guide students through the process of identifying gaps in learning, explicitly teach how to track achievement, and provide supplemental instruction and guidance to student self-advocacy in areas of continued non-proficiency. So looking at those areas that they will continue to need help with. And I said that we will achieve this result by the end of the school year, May 2019. I really like that goal because it is something that is realistic in my classroom. It's something that's doable, and it really is meeting a very great need, which is finding those gaps in their learning in which students are missing pieces that is not allowing them to learn at the level that they might need to learn at. So I really liked coming up with that goal. My next goal, just to refresh, was to teach 2 units in math that are not being taught as of now because there's just not enough time before PSSAs. So specifically, teach units in math that students would not otherwise learn until after the standardized tests are given. So we are potentially getting to them, but it's just not ideal. The students don't feel confident with those skills. As teachers, we don't feel confident and comfortable sending our students into those tests knowing that they really have not had the chance to master those skills. The measure that I would have is that students will show proficiency in the math units. Again, it would be teachers and students responsible. I myself as a teacher would be guiding them, giving them the jobs that they have to do each day, what they're doing in each rotation, as I get into next. And it's on the students to really have some more responsibility and be invested in learning this. So this is a realistic goal for me and my class. Again, I would use station rotational model, and there's 13 laptops in a classroom of 19 students. And this would be done by math PSSA implementation. So I took all of that, and my non-consumption goal sounds like this. My goal is to use the station rotational model, and I go into those, of blended learning to teach math curriculum that would otherwise not be taught, specifically our Unit 6 geometry, by having students earn proficient in that unit. The 4th grade team, including myself as the leader, will implement this blended learning unit by guiding my fellow teachers through the process, creating any documents necessary for tracking, and by doing whatever else is needed for our students to achieve proficiency in this unit. We will achieve this result before the implementation of math PSSAs, which would be on or about April 29th, 2019. This is again something that I am really excited about because not having students jump into these PSSAs feeling like they are fully prepared is scary for us as teachers. It's something that we wish that we could change every year. We would love PSSAs to be given at a realistic time, which would be the end of May. I'm sure that there's reasons that they're not, but from my perspective as a classroom teacher, it's really hard for me to see those. And I just want to give the kids the best possible feeling when they're going into these tests. I'm actually so excited about this goal that I have reached out to our technology coach. I am seeing if she can sit down and help me with this because, I have a goal and I know myself. I'm really good with the big ideas. I'm really great with knowing what I want and kind of having some general idea of what I want it to look like. But when it comes down to having the ideas and the details and kind of putting it all together, that's really not my strong suit, and it's something that I'm continuing to work on. So I've already scheduled a time to sit down with her and see if I can somehow figure out how to make this work. So this is something that I'm really, really excited about. So I would love to hear any questions or anyone questioning what I'm thinking, just not only to, generate a great discussion on this, but also really to question what I'm doing and seeing if it really is the best idea for me. If you have any experience with this or have anything that I could watch or read that would maybe help support these goals that I have, I would love to see that as well. So I would love to hear from a couple people just with their general ideas and thoughts on this. And if you think that these are things that are realistic for me in my classroom at this time, and also just anything to start some discussion. So thank you so much for listening and for watching, and I can't wait to hear feedback from all of you.